She looked at me with tears in her eyes and said something I never expected to hear. "I want a baby. Can you help?" My heart stopped. The world around me went silent. I had known her for years. She was my neighbor. My friend. Someone I cared about deeply. But this? This was something that would change both of our lives forever. Before I tell you what happened next, take a second to subscribe to your channel name, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments. Stories like this remind us how powerful kindness can be, and you won't want to miss what happens next. It all started on a quiet Sunday afternoon in a small neighborhood just outside Columbus, Ohio. I was 34 at the time, working a regular 9-to-5 job in IT, living alone in a modest townhouse. My life was steady but predictable. No wife. No kids. Just work, the gym, and the occasional barbecue with neighbors. That's how I got to know Emily. Emily lived 2 houses down. She was in her early 30s, warm-hearted, and the kind of person who baked cookies for everyone at Christmas. She had been married once, but her husband had passed away in a car accident 3 years earlier. They had planned to start a family. That dream disappeared in a single phone call from the hospital. After her husband died, I watched her change. She was still kind, still smiling, but there was a quiet sadness in her eyes. Sometimes we'd sit on her porch in the evenings, talking about life, grief, and the strange way time keeps moving even when your heart feels stuck. One evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky orange, she opened up to me in a way she never had before. "I always wanted to be a mom," she said softly. "That dream didn't die when he did." I nodded, not knowing what to say. In America, we grow up believing there's a certain order to life. Graduate. Get married. Have kids. Grow old together. But life doesn't always follow that script. Over the next few weeks, our conversations grew deeper. She had been looking into options, adoption, sperm banks, even moving to another state for better opportunities. But nothing felt right to her. She wanted her child to know their father. To know where they came from. She wanted kindness to be part of their story from the very beginning. Then came that afternoon. She invited me over for coffee. Her hands trembled slightly as she spoke. "I've thought about this for months," she said. "You're kind. You're responsible. You'd be a good father." I laughed nervously, thinking she was joking. She wasn't. "I want a baby," she said. "Can you help?" My mind raced. "You mean, donate?" I asked quietly. She shook her head. "No. I don't want a stranger. I want someone who will be there. I don't expect marriage. I don't expect anything romantic. I just want my child to have a father who chooses them." I felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. "I'm going to be a father," I whispered, more to myself than to her. That night, I didn't sleep. I paced my living room, thinking about diapers, college funds, sleepless nights, and soccer games. I thought about the freedom I'd lose. The responsibility I'd gain. I thought about my own father, who worked 2 jobs to give me a better life. Kindness isn't always about holding a door open. Sometimes it asks for something much bigger. The next morning, I went for a long walk. I realized something that surprised me. Beneath the fear, there was a spark of excitement. I had always assumed fatherhood would come someday, but I never chased it. I was waiting for the right time, the right person, the right plan. Maybe this was life handing me something unexpected. I asked Emily to meet me at the park. She looked terrified when she saw me, as if bracing for rejection. "I can't promise I won't be scared," I said. "I can't promise I'll be perfect. But if we do this, I'm all in. I won't disappear. I won't treat this like a favor. I'll be a dad." She burst into tears. Not loud sobs. Just quiet tears of relief. We spent months planning. We met with lawyers to create agreements. We talked about parenting styles, finances, boundaries. We made sure this wasn't just emotional, it had to be responsible. In America, raising a child isn't cheap. It takes planning and commitment. When she finally told me she was pregnant, she handed me a tiny pair of baby socks. My hands shook as I held them. In that moment, it became real. I was going to be a father. The pregnancy wasn't easy. She had morning sickness that lasted all day. There were doctor appointments, ultrasounds, and long nights when fear crept in. What if something went wrong? What if we weren't enough? But every time doubt showed up, kindness answered it. I drove her to appointments. I assembled a crib in her spare room. I started putting money into a college savings account. My life began to shift around this tiny person I hadn't even met yet. When our daughter was born, I cried harder than I ever had in my life. Yes, our daughter. She had Emily's eyes and a head full of dark hair. When the nurse placed her in my arms, I felt something settle inside me. A purpose I didn't know I was missing. People in the neighborhood were confused at first. So, are you two together? They'd ask. We'd smile and say, we're co-parents. Some people didn't understand. But most did. Because at the heart of it, this wasn't about romance. It was about love in a different form. It was about stepping up when someone needed you. Over the years, our little girl, Lily, became the center of both our worlds. I moved into a house halfway between our old places so she could grow up with both of us close by. We shared holidays. We attended parent-teacher conferences together. We cheered at soccer games side by side. There were hard moments too. Disagreements about bedtime. About schools. About discipline. But we always came back to one question: what's best for Lily? Kindness became our compass. One evening, when Lily was 5, she crawled into my lap and asked, "Daddy, how did you and Mommy decide to have me?" I looked at Emily, unsure how to explain something so unusual to a child. Emily smiled. "We wanted you very, very much," she said. "And Daddy chose to be your daddy," she added. Lily grinned. "I'm glad you chose me." That word stuck with me. Chose. In a world where so many children feel unwanted, our daughter would grow up knowing she was a choice. A decision made with care and courage. As the years passed, something unexpected happened. Emily and I grew even closer. Not necessarily in a romantic way at first, but in trust. In partnership. In shared late-night worries about fevers and math homework. Kindness has a way of building bridges where you never planned to cross. Eventually, feelings did begin to shift. It wasn't dramatic. There was no big movie moment. Just a slow realization that the respect and love we had built as co-parents had become something deeper. One night, after Lily had fallen asleep, we sat on the porch just like we used to years ago. "Can you believe how far we've come?" Emily asked. I shook my head. "You asked me for help. I thought my life was about to be turned upside down." She laughed softly. "It was. But in the best way," I said. I reached for her hand. This time, she didn't pull away. Our story didn't follow the traditional American dream. It didn't start with dating or a wedding. It started with a question. A vulnerable, brave question. "I want a baby. Can you help?" Looking back, I realized she wasn't just asking for a child. She was asking for kindness. For partnership. For someone willing to step into the unknown. And by saying yes, I didn't just give her something. I gained a daughter. I gained a family. I gained a life richer than the one I had planned. Kindness doesn't always look small. Sometimes it looks like showing up every day. Like signing your name on legal papers. Like waking up at 3 a.m. to rock a crying baby. Like choosing to stay when things get hard. If you're watching this and wondering whether one act of kindness can really change a life, let me tell you, it can change many. It changed Emily's life. It changed Lily's life. And it changed mine. So here's my challenge to you. When life puts a difficult question in front of you, don't run from it too quickly. Pause. Listen. Ask yourself if maybe, just maybe, this is your chance to make a difference. You don't have to become a parent to be kind. You just have to be willing to step up when someone needs you. Because somewhere out there, someone might be waiting for your yes. And that yes could be the beginning of a story more beautiful than you ever imagined. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who believes in the power of kindness. And remember, sometimes the biggest blessings come disguised as the scariest questions. Be brave. Be generous. And never underestimate what one act of kindness can create.